Leute, was geht ab? Willkommen jetzt wieder auf meinem Account. Mein Name ist Szenen und heute reacten wir auf 10 verlassene oder nicht eingefügte Szenen in Poppy Playtime Chapter 2. Ich würde sagen, hauen rein, let's go. Let's go. Los geht's!
Hey guys, it's Micah, and for Chapter 2
es geht übrigens wie gerade schon erwähnt, Sachen, die nicht eingefügt worden sind, ob es vielleicht besser oder schlechter waren. Schreibt mir gerne unten in die Kommentare und lasst gerne ein Like und ein Abo da, wenn ihr sowas nicht verpassen wollt, weil sowas finde ich extrem geil.
Anniversary, I'm going to reveal to you 10 lost secrets from Poppy Playtime Chapter 2. We'll be discovering everything from deleted scenes, lost locations.
Das fände ich so geil, wenn es das eingefügt hätte. Das sehe ich direkt, das ist so geil. Ich hätte es so gerne.
Over a dozen unused characters. Keep in mind this list does contain major spoilers for Chapter 2, so if you haven't played it yet, go play it, and then come back. You have been warned. Before we start, I want to let you know we're doing a giveaway for 10 copies of Chapter 2. More information on how to win your free copy later in the video. Now without further ado, let's get into it.
Das ist ein geiles Thumbnail. Schaut euch das mal an.
Number 1. Chapter 2's alternate opening. Poppy Playtime fans will remember that Chapter 2 opens with us exploring Elliot Ludwig's office and eventually finding Poppy in a hidden room below. But Chapter 2 didn't always start this way. In a now deleted opening of the chapter, after freeing Poppy from her case, you wake up and are immediately greeted by the sight of Poppy peeking out behind a door. The sequence continues with you following Poppy as she slinks throughout various hallways. Following Poppy then led you back outside to where Huggy Wuggy fell in Chapter 1. What followed was a 10-minute parkour sequence down the catwalks and conveyor belts from Chapter 1, eventually leading to a power puzzle that activated an elevator, taking you down to the game station to meet your new foe, Mommy Longlegs.
Oha, als wäre das jetzt so gewesen, dass du eigentlich einen 10-minütigen oder einen 10-Step-Parcours gemacht hättest, um dann in die Game Station zu kommen.
Now, you're probably wondering why this never ended in the game. There were a few reasons this alternate intro was abandoned. The first reason was chasing Poppy was just turning out too funny. The sequence went through 3 major iterations, starting with you straight up chasing Poppy to follow her, but that just ended up being way too funny. Version 2 was Poppy peeking out behind doorways and walls, but that was almost even funnier. In the last version, you see Poppy's shadow moving across the floor and walls. This version was definitely the creepiest iteration, and it's the one we ended up sticking with for quite a long time. But in the end, it was abandoned for just feeling a little too cheesy.
Man sieht aber überall hier diese Wasserzeichen da, warte. Man sieht die hier überall.
The second reason was simple. It was too long. You went through a 10-minute parkour sequence and a wild goose chase without really learning or seeing anything interesting, which leads us to the final reason for the scene's abandonment. Mommy Longlegs had no mention or build-up. To fix these shortcomings, we completely redid the intro sequence. We first added Elliot Ludwig's office to the sequence so you had an interesting location to explore. We then changed following Poppy to Poppy talking to you to make her a relatable character instead of just a cheesy horror doll that you follow around. Then we added a scene forcing you to watch Poppy be kidnapped before your eyes to build up the threat of Mommy Longlegs. And finally, we had you jump down a slide rather than jump down catwalks for 10 minutes. In the end, these changes are why the alternate opening of Chapter 2 never saw the light of day. Number 2, Mommy Longlegs' alternate intro scene. Mommy's intro scene was one of the hardest.
Zweite Sache ist, ihr kennt ja die Szene, wo die so runterkommt und so, und da wird jetzt also da wurden jetzt viele Designs gemacht. Da gibt's eins, was ich eigentlich am besten fand, was es aber leider nicht mit reingeschafft hat.
Things to get right in Chapter 2. The scene went through multiple versions of dialogue.
Das wäre so geil gewesen.
Pacing. These alternate versions, while relatively similar to the final, had a few key differences. Here's the first alternate version.
Why? Oh my! Hello down there! I wasn't expecting company. Always tells Mommy when guests are on their way down. Didn't this time. Always tells Mommy. Shh, you're okay now. Mommy will take care of you. Mommy wants to take you somewhere special. It's easy to get lost down here. Some have lost their way and never found it again. But Mommy won't let that happen to you. Mommy always knows where you are.
So yeah, in this version of the scene, there were a few key elements missing from a storytelling standpoint. 1, Mommy's introduction to the story didn't influence anything about your current objective. 2, the player had no reason to feel threatened by Mommy Longlegs because she had no prior build-up at the time. So we addressed some of these issues in version 2.
Why, oh my!
Version 2.
Hello down there. I think you lost this. Do you want it back? Of course not. Though Mommy assumes this is something
Sie
you
lässt es einfach
want
fallen.
back. Finding you two down here was surprising. Always tells Mommy when guests are on their way down. Didn't this time. Always tells Mommy. Mommy loves to play games. Do you like to play games? How about you play some games with
Ich habe
Mommy?
sogar die Original-Audio noch ein bisschen
You don't
bearbeitet,
have
wie jetzt in der
to. Mommy can
Final-Version.
just keep little Miss Poppy if you don't want her. But Mommy already
Ja?
knows you love
Okay.
to play. Some have lost their way and never found it again. But Mommy won't let that happen to you. Mommy always knows where you are.
So this version addressed one of the big issues. Mommy now kidnaps Poppy to give the player a motive to play Mommy's games. But then we realized something. The player doesn't even need Poppy. Who cares if she's kidnapped? So Mommy showing up still didn't affect your current objective. So here's what we did to solve it. We had Poppy be the only one who knows the train code, so now you need her to escape. We also added that scene where Mommy comes out of nowhere and pulls Poppy down into the abyss. Problem solved. Now, Mommy steals your only way of escape, and watching Mommy kidnap Poppy makes her introduction all the more threatening. Number 3, the game station's lost designs. Fans will remember that the game station features
Jetzt kommen die,
a giant mural
von der
of Mommy
Game Station,
Longlegs,
die
a
alten
playground for the
Designs.
kids, and entrances to the station's 3 main games. But it didn't used to be this way. The original design of the game station was absolutely massive, and featured a mural on the roof with a
Absolut massiv. Das ist auch
giant
krass.
sun and moon illuminating the station.
Okay, das ist
Although it
ja
looked
gruselig
jaw-dropping,
gewesen.
there were 2 major issues. It was unrealistically big and was completely empty. It didn't seem like it could have been a real functioning location for kids.
Groß.
The second version featured a new
Nein, das andere ist auch groß.
design for the sun and moon,
Oh
and a
my
lot more
God, that's
color
all
in the
krass.
room to make it more inviting for the kids who visit. However, it was still completely empty. So we went back to the drawing board, keeping in mind what a place like the game station would need to be a fully functional and realistic location. In the end, we shrunk the room, added a big playground for the kids to play in while they waited for their turn in the games, added structural supports for realism, catwalks for Playtime Co. employees to observe the things going on, and of course, added some classic Playtime Co. style branding. Number 4, musical memories lost design. Musical memory used to have a much different aesthetic than it
Das
currently
alte
does.
Musical
In the
Memory
original
Design.
version, the walls were completely covered in TV screens of various
Das war sogar
sizes that would
gewesen.
display
Ich
the
habe
name of
mehr
the
so
button
gewünscht,
that you're
wenn
supposed to
es so
press, and the
ausgesehen hätte.
buttons you press during the game used to be suspended by big mechanical arms. The reason this design was abandoned was fairly straightforward. The aesthetic was too high-tech looking for Playtime Co. The array of TVs and mechanical arms made the room feel closer to a spaceship than a toy factory. On top of that, we also decided that we wanted to include an area where Mommy Longlegs could watch you play, and that just wasn't going to work in a curved room with a bunch of TVs. Number 5, Cassie Cutie Pillar. Some of you may actually be aware of this one. Cassie Cutie Pillar is the original character that was going to be chasing you throughout the Statues game. She was a giant caterpillar with a
jetzt
pink
für
snout,
Diese Poppy
beady eyes, and 2
Cassie.
antennae. Cassie
Cassie.
actually appeared in the official Chapter 2 trailer before she was scrapped. Though Cassie was cute, we felt we had the opportunity to make the character more unique by creating an
Ja,
unholy
ein
combination
Trailer
of
drin.
2 different animals. So we went back to the drawing board. We spent a
Aber
long
nicht so
time picking the
gruselig.
right face for this new character, something that didn't feel too goofy for the statue section of the game. Eventually, we settled on the design that would become PJ Pugapillar. This was one of the later changes we made to Chapter 2, as we had already made a completely finished model of Cassie, complete with fur simulation and realistic eyeballs,
Boah, warte, jetzt schaut euch mal die Augen. Schaut euch mal
as
die
well
Augen
as
an.
various art of Cassie throughout the game having to be swapped with the new PJ art.
Bah,
Number 6,
gruselig.
Daisy the Flower and 7 other characters. This is probably the most well-known one on the list. Very similar to Cassie Cutie Pillar, Daisy was the original character that's going to be lowering towards you during the musical memory game. She was a flower marionette suspended on strings with a
Die
very
hätte so
unsettling
gepasst,
fate.
so. Weil
Like
Guck mal, was
Cassie,
kann der
Daisy also appeared
Augen so,
briefly
Leute. Ich sag aber ehrlich, Daisy muss in Chapter 5 vorkommen.
in the trailer for
Bitte.
Chapter 2. Daisy was abandoned because we wanted a
okay,
character with
so,
more
yeah,
theming, and a
bleiben,
way to alert the player that
vergessen.
death was getting closer and closer. And this is where things got difficult. We went through 7 complete
Ja, und es gibt 7 weitere,
different character
Tierarten,
concepts
die
for the
eigentlich
musical
reinkommen
memory
sollen.
toy.
Mit
A
der Gans sieht
monkey,
auch geil aus, aber das passt
clown,
nicht so. Die Eule wäre auch gut.
a fox, a princess, a bluebird,
Geil. Clown?
another bird,
Clown wäre auch okay, geil.
a ballerina bird, and finally, a bunny.
Ballerina wäre auch
We
gut
liked the
gewesen.
bunny because he had great theming with his
Kann ich
symbols
mit
and
den
clothes,
Vögeln?
as well as his symbols serving as a great audio tool as you hear him descending upon you in musical memory. After a few slight design tweaks and color variations, we finally got the Bunzo bunny we all know today. Daisy the flower wasn't completely absent from Chapter 2, however, as we see various art and posters of her throughout the game,
Yeah.
as well as a full cardboard cutout with voice lines from Daisy.
Oha.
Number 7, Mommy Longlegs alternate designs. Mommy Longlegs went through dozens of designs before she became the noodly pink maniac we all know today. 2 of these scrap designs actually show up in Chapter
Mommy
2 as
Longlegs
old
design.
blueprints for Mommy Longlegs. Her first design was a noodly plush doll with button eyes. It was cute, but that was the problem. The design wasn't eerie enough. A few other things on top of that was she looked too young for her name to be Mummy. She didn't have enough resemblance to a spider for her Longlegs pun to make sense.
Geht auch voll klar. Aber sieht zu jung aus. Oh mein Gott, das haben sie ja jetzt bei dem, ich hab den Namen vergessen. Bei dem
And we
Löwen da
wanted to try
gemacht.
making her a plastic toy to make her feel more unique from
Boah,
how
das
we
wär
look.
low-key
For
krass
the next
gewesen, wenn die
designs,
so
we really
aussehen
tried
hätte.
to push the spider look, as
So,
well
dass
as
ihre
make
Mund
her
so
appearance a
aufgemacht
bit
hätte
more
und sich dann
creepy.
so...
She did look like a spider now, but too
Das sieht
much
mir
so,
so sehr nach
to the point where we didn't
Kinderserie
think it would be realistic for Playtime Co. to create a toy like her. Another issue was this design didn't necessarily look like a toy at first glance either. The next designs really tried to push the creep factor in the face, and reel back a bit on the spider elements. This design pass is also where we came up with the idea of Mommy having limbs that could stretch. Originally, her limbs were going to extend in
Was ist das, Digga? Die Fieber?
the form of plastic tubes, similar to
Was?
the way a lightsaber toy might
Die werden dann
extend.
so aufgeklappt.
This design was
so, also
scrapped
die
because of
werden
the
dann
challenge of
irgendwie,
making
So, und dann werden die so irgendwie aufgeklappt, so. Dass sie sich so
her limbs
ein- und
bend while
ausfahren,
also
auch
being
krass
made
gewesen.
of
Also, dass die
extending
so einen
plastic
normalen
tubes.
Zustand,
The
dass
variation
die
of
Reisen
colors
so
also made
werden
her design
und dann
feel
so
too sporadic
hochgefahren
and complex. To solve these problems, we came up with the
ist
concept
ganz
of
so
elastic
überdicht werden,
plastic,
könnte, wäre
a
krass.
substance that Playtime Co. created that can stretch like rubber but also retain its shape and position. We also simplified her color pattern and gave her a spherical waist similar to a spider's abdomen. We concepted a few
die
alternate
Fieber
designs after this one with
Der
more
Mund ist
spider-like
krass.
features. However, the problem from before still persisted. It was too
das sieht auch
spider-like
gut
and
aus.
creepy
Das wäre geil gewesen. Die Augen.
for Playtime Co. to
Sag
be
ehrlich,
realistically
am
made.
gruseligsten fände ich
Number
das
8,
hier,
the 6
das
Lost
hier,
Toys.
das
From the
hier,
beginning of
das
Chapter
hier
2, we
und
knew we wanted to
das
have
hier.
new toys present in each of the games in the game station. These became Bunzo Bunny, the Mini Huggies, and PJ Pugapillar. But before those were made, we had 6 different potential characters
sure.
created to fill these roles. Jolly Clown, who went through a few
drei.
design iterations. Lovebug, who actually appears in
Richtig,
Chapter
ja.
2 as a rejected
Ich glaube, es gibt noch 6
toy.
verschiedene Charakter.
Side Dog, a robot dog toy. Sunny Buddy, who also appears as a rejected toy. Lily the Frog, a frog on
Ich glaub, die
roller
kommen alle in
skates.
Chapter 5.
And Monster Truck. That one kind of
Cyber
speaks for
Dog hätte ich überhaupt
itself.
gar nicht
Number
eingefasst.
9, the quality
Sunny
control
Buddy.
room and the production room.
Der wäre geil.
In Chapter 2, before entering musical memory, we take a detour to the molding
Das sind
room
alle gar
where we
nicht so.
create the green electric hand. In an early version of the chapter,
Okay,
every game you go
Control
to
room.
was going to be paired with a factory room similar to the molding room. Whack-A-Wuggy had the
Jetzt
production
kommt's.
room, and Statues had the quality control room. These rooms were never implemented into the game and were scrapped during the concept phase because they just seemed like unnecessary filler. Number 10, Mommy Longlegs' death scene. One of Chapter 2's most infamous moments is the death of Mommy Longlegs. After minutes of running away from Mommy, you're backed into a corner with no way out. But just as all hope seems
Oh, die
lost, you
Todesszene
pull
sollte
down a
anders
lever that
aussehen.
activates a grinder. Mommy's arm is pulled into the grinder and she desperately tries to escape. screaming for her life as she's slowly crushed to death. Now, you wouldn't think it, but there was actually quite a bit of debate behind the scenes about how Mommy should be pulled into the grinder. In the alternate version of Mommy's death, her head is actually pulled inside and grinded to a pulp, leaving her lifeless lower half to fall onto the floor. Here it is.
Ja, das wäre auch krass gewesen.
What have you done? You make me part of you! You can't do this to me!
We decided to scrap this version for two reasons. One, the imagery of Mommy's upper half being dragged away would be more resonant than her lower half being dragged away. And two, Mommy's head being grinded up might have just been too gruesome to show without the game getting an M rating. So there you go. Those were 10 lost secrets in Poppy Playtime Chapter 2. And in honor of Chapter 2's anniversary, we're doing a giveaway for 10 free copies of Chapter 2 on Steam. Click the link in the description below if you want to enter. Chapter 2 is on a huge sale on PC Mobile on these dates. So if you haven't played Chapter 2 yet, now's your chance. Make sure to like and share the video if you enjoyed what you saw. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in Chapter 3.
Also. Okay, ich glaube, zur Chapter 3 gibt es nicht. Können wir gleich mal gucken. Aber erstmal vielen lieben Dank fürs Zuschauen. Wir sehen uns dann im nächsten Video, weil es gibt hier anscheinend kein für Chapter 3. Chapter 3. Ja, okay, da gibt's doch was, aber nicht von Original. Okay, Leute, vielen lieben Dank fürs Zuschauen. Wir sehen uns dann und bis dann. Tschüss.